Okay, today we're going to talk about the aerification that we're doing next week. Real quick though, I do want to mention the last several weeks have been very difficult. We've had heavy thunderstorms. We've had days where it was 90 with no humidity, days where it was 90 with extreme humidity. When you're trying to manage grass, it's a really difficult environment to navigate through. I think we did a fantastic job. It's the middle of August right now, and we don't have any blemishes out there. I think the golf course, there's weeds in the rough, but that's something we're always working with. But as far as density of turf and playing conditions, we're as good as anyone around. I'll take this in August any year. This has been great. I do think that I have the best staff that I've had since I've been here. We all make mistakes, and we've made mistakes this year. We fixed our mistakes right after we made them. But the biggest thing with my staff is they all really care. They're taking on one personality where no matter what, we want to provide the best conditions for you. And that goes a long way. So they're doing detail work and taking pride in their work that is making a difference. And you could see it out there. So if you see some of our workers around, just give them a nod. They've been working their tails off, and they really care, which is the most important thing. I can teach them anything as long as they care, and our work is shown out there. So it's also important too, is because every year that we keep a strong stand of turf, the next year it's going to be better, and it's just going to build on from there. The last several years we haven't lost any grass, and you could see now the benefits that are paying off. We really are in good shape. That gets us to aerification though. I am very particular, I want to provide the absolute best conditions for you guys. I know the greens are really good right now. They're really dense. They're putting good once, the humidity's slowing them up a little bit, but we could get speed pretty quick right now. The only thing I really want to work on this fall is the firmness of the greens. Right now I think that I could dry them out to a moisture of about 10 to 12%, and they're still a little bit soft, which I want them a little bit better than that. So we're gonna this fall we're concentrating on trying to firm them up. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So we've been trying to do a video for the last 4 days, but the wind has been picking up. So I did 2 example plots here. And as you can see, this was only 4 days ago that we aerified, and it's already growing in. So that's also a good sign. The healthier you are going into the aerification, the better you are. So this year, what we're going to try to do is we're going to use the same size hole, but we're going to do different spacing so we get more holes. I know that other courses you've played, and I've done it before, they use a 5/8 tine with a big hole. The problem with that is it does take another week or so for it to heal. So we're going to stay with the same size hole, but go with a smaller spacing. So in essence, we're still taking out the same surface area, but it's a tighter spacing. So the first couple days of the aerification this year, it might look like cottage cheese out there, and it's going to be a little bit more holes than you normally see, and it might be a little more bumpy, but it's still going to take the same amount of days to heal. So you can see the difference. This is a 2-inch spacing. As you can see, there's 3 holes where my finger is, as opposed to 4 holes. That's 1.5 inch spacing. So this will allow us to get more sand in there. So hopefully we can take care of 2 birds with 1 stone. We could get more thatch out and get more sand in there to firm it up a little bit more when we're drying them out. I'd like to see them a little bit firmer. Obviously in July and August, you're really not ever going to have firm greens. It's just because of the humidity and the watering that we have to do to keep them alive. You don't get firm greens in August. So this isn't going to help for that, but when it comes to September and October, we'll be able to firm them up better. The other reason I'm doing it is because, as you can see out there, you can see some rings when we start getting drier. That's a disease called fairy ring. I've talked about that in the past. Fairy ring happens on old greens. You'll see, I'm sure you watched the open out in Europe, and when you're watching their greens, you'll see big rings around there. They're old greens, and the disease is in the soil. So I took a plug from our 16th hole because we've been seeing a lot of rings on there. Right here is the disease. I know it's really hard to see, but there's a bluish green in there. What that does is, what this disease does is it takes up all the nitrogen around the area, and that's where you see the circle of green. That's just all decomposed nitrogen in that area. So when we're trying to dry out the greens, we have a tough time because we have to water just the ring part of it, because it's over fertilized basically, and it will wilt quicker and die quicker, so we have to water that. So it challenges us to dry out the whole green when we're watering just the circles. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break up where the disease is. Right there, you can see a little bluish green. Take that out and put cleaner sand in there. Hopefully this will dilute the disease a little bit. They say the only way to get rid of fairy ring is to completely deconstruct the green, reconstruct the green, and take all the bad soil out. But obviously we don't have the capability of doing that. So I'm going to try to get as much new sand into that disease as possible and see if that eradicates it. We spray for it, but it's just really hard to control. It's more of an eyesore. It's more of a nuisance for us as far as watering goes. So I do want to work on that. I don't want to get too long into this discussion. I could show you down the road when we're finished. The greens will take the same amount of time to heal. Like I said, it's just going to be a tighter hole. We get more sand in there. Like I said before in the past, what we're trying to take care of is this thatch layer up here. For you homeowners there, when they say dethatching your yard, they're trying to get rid of this layer, and that just blocks water from going into the soil profile. It holds up nutrients and it makes the green softer. So if we can get rid of more of the thatch, we also will firm up the greens. The last thing I would like to talk about is we're going to be out there working next week. Unfortunately, we don't get to start till Tuesday. There's a Corn Ferry Tour event on Monday. So we're pushed back one day than we would like to start. We're going to try to get 6 greens done a day, so we're finished by the end of the week. Hopefully by Thursday afternoon we're finished. The one thing with the aerification in August, it's really good for healing time. We can get them healed within 10 to 14 days. The problem with that is, though, we have to be very careful with the weather. If it turns to be 90 degrees, we might have to stop. If the greens are starting to wilt and get stressed out, we can't aerify them. We're going to have to hold off. So hopefully we get this done next week. The weather has been changing. Yesterday said it was going to be 90 degrees at the end of the week, which would be a problem. But now they're pushing it back to 85, mid 80s, which we could work with. I'll have to keep you posted on that. I've pushed it back in the past, so we've been through this before. The last thing we want to do is, after a successful season and a tough stretch now, is to make a mistake and aerify when the greens are stressed out. And then that's when some people lose greens, is this last practice. So this is our last hurdle over the mountain for the summer, and we're just going to be cautious with it. Worst case, we finish early next week, but we're going to wrap this up as quickly as possible so we're not in your way. If you see us out there playing, please just pick up your ball and go to the next hole. We're going to try to work at 2 holes at a time, and we're going to start in order and work in order. So just so you're aware, next week is aerification, so you're not disappointed and you're not bringing out guests. So hopefully it goes smoothly. I know you hate this process, but we wouldn't be in the shape that we're in without this. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks.